Oh, excuse me. All right, ready to hit that intro music?
I am. You recording?
I am now.
All right. Then here we go.
Welcome back to Dads Meet World, your weekly deep dive into that classic show, Boy Meets World. I am Dad number one this week, Tyler.
And I'm dad number 2 this week, Brett. Hola.
Yes. ¿Cómo está?
Bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Ah, muy grande.
Muy grande. Gigante. Oh, yeah.
That's so. I can't remember what it was, but I did that in high school at one point, and someone called me out on it. And I went, you know what? That's just always going to be my bit. Just always, just muy grande. Just
Tu español es no muy bueno.
yes, not very good at all. So, anywho,
Un poquito.
some special guests later on that we're going to get to, because anytime we're discussing Cory's real love life, we got to bring on our two very special guests. But after
yes.
last time they were on, they were kind of complaining just a smidge. And so as long as we're not able to see each other face to face, they prefer to only have so much time with us. So eventually we'll get to them and their thoughts.
Yes.
But
Apparently
Brett,
we're only good in small digestible bites.
yes. And apparently it's much easier if we just ask them, tell us what you think about this. Tell us what you think about this. But Brett, other than that, how are you?
I'm doing okay. It's busy season here for the day job, so I'm doing a lot of video editing, a lot of video editing. But yeah, let's see what happened. That's pretty much it. Oh, and this is the final week of school for all 3 kids. So as we record, there is half a day left for Abby and a day and a half left for Toby and Asher. And Toby will be graduating 8th grade, moving up to freshman year. Asher stays in elementary school, so we're getting all that stuff squared away. And I get to go sit in on an 8th grade graduation. And Abby just got back a little bit ago from playing in the commencement band for her high school. They had about 100 students graduate, and she was absolutely floored to find out that when Kelly graduated, she had about 500 graduate that she had to sit through, and it took her a moment to shake off that shock. So that was kind of fun. What about you, Tyler? How are things going over there in Volkville?
Well, in Volkville, we got about 2 more weeks of school left. So we have next week. It's just 4 days. And then the week after that, they have 3 days and like 1 day where they go for like an hour and then they get out. So amazing call that the last day of school. But yeah, we're just wrapping up that first that kindergarten year.
Mm-hmm.
So actually did fun day it was a couple of weeks ago now, and just getting to be silly with a bunch of kids. And I was told, hey, here are sponges, have them get each other wet. And I went, so you don't care what happens here, right? And the woman in charge is my former babysitter. She goes, yeah, I don't care, just as long as they walk away wet. And I said, okay, I can do that.
I can work with that.
So there's just a point where I would soak up a bunch of sponges and I'd start, I'd hold them in my hand and I start flinging my hands all over the place and be like, my sponge is malfunctioning. I gotta fix it. Something's wrong with my sponge. And, have kids screaming because crazy man is just
crazy man with the sponges is coming.
Yeah, I will say during the time period when my son was in, his group got so worked up that I had to end them early. And I went, you all need to go and just sit. You're all already soaked. It went into chaos way too quickly. Just everyone needs to go sit and just breathe. But yeah, that's the fun of, being a dad, is just to go, hey, you don't put any parameters on me. I will use
Okay.
all of the force I can to make this fun.
If there's no guardrails, then you got to make your own.
Exactly.
So anyway, good looking people, this week we are looking at episode 215, 15th episode of season 2. Breaking up is really, really hard to do. Wherein Cory asks Wendy out on a date and now she won't leave him alone. Meanwhile, Eric is banned from dating until his grades pick up, and Feeney and Turner play racquetball. This episode was written by Mark Blutman and Howard Busgang, directed by Jeff McCracken, originally aired January 27th, 1995, currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 8.1, and we're going to play everyone's new favorite game show, Tyler, Guess That Nielsen Rating. Now, in millions, how many million viewers tuned in to this episode when it first aired?
Let's go with 19.7.
Very close. 20.9.
Ooh.
Going by Price is Right rules, you still win.
I will say, for whatever reason, I am going like Price is Right in my head, because I'm like, I think it's around the 20s. I need to go under the 20s. We were joking before Henry's last appointment. We're like, all right, everyone tell us what your weight is as we're driving in the car. And Grayson gets his weight, and it's ridiculous. And Sarah gets her, and I go, you know what? I'm going to go with the weight you said, plus 1 ounce. She goes, you can't do that. I'm like, hey, unless you got it right on.
$100.01.
Yeah, I will say every now and then, I've randomly caught it over the years, but I have noticed that people will do now like the number, and then someone do that number plus 1, and then someone's done like the number plus 2, and I've even seen like plus 3, and I'm like, what is this nonsense, people?
All right, so Tyler, lead us in.
So we start off at Chubby's, right? And Cory's reading an invitation to a couples party. Now, Brett, I have to say right off the bat, as an adult, I've been invited to a couples party,
Yeah.
I don't think in high school I was ever invited to a couples party. I've been invited to birthday parties, fires that I know that couples, plan together, but it wasn't like a quote unquote couples party.
Yeah, it wasn't something that was big in my area. Thinking back, I can't recall any couples parties or dinner parties that were in that age bracket when I was in middle school or high school. But yeah, so Cory is really, really stressed about trying to find a date, because it's not just a date. He's got to be part of a couple.
Yep. Well, and it's just funny because Cory's complaining about it, and we go to Sean, and he's making out with a girl we've never met before, and after the scene, we'll never see again.
Of course.
This is not the first or last time we're going to see this.
Oh, no. She's probably one of those names in his little black book.
What? Yes, she's probably in the little black book. So Cory's complaining about it. Sean stops making out with this girl, and he just goes, hey, why don't you go ask out Wendy? You have a crush on her. Go ask her out.
Yes, he does say that.
There's Wendy. You know her, you like her. Ask her to be your girlfriend.
Just for the party? That's not right.
It is right. You're supposed to do that. You're thinking too much. Do what I do. Don't think.
I like at the beginning here that we have two very, very different opinions. Cory believes that it's not right to ask Wendy to be his girlfriend just to go to the party. Sean, on the other hand, says you're supposed to do that. That's just go do it.
Well, and that's the dichotomy, though, of these two characters.
Mm-hmm.
One is I do without thinking, and the other one is no, I overthink, and then eventually something will happen. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this before, that Wendy and him could be a cute couple. It's just a matter of Cory actually asking her out.
Yes, and we saw Wendy way back in episode 2 this season, back up and pairing off. So it's not like this isn't this new character out of the blue that we've never seen before. It's just this is I believe I remember back in pairing off mentioning that it'd be good to see revisiting Wendy. So yeah, we're going to get to see Wendy revisited here this week.
When he initially goes up to talk to her, she's like, you're interested in going to a couples party with me? And he goes, well, yeah. And she's like, I just think you want to date. He goes, no, I actually want to be with you. She goes, so you want to be a couple? Yeah. and
it just turns on a dime.
It does. I'll just say, I think, someone makes a comment earlier about girls maturing quicker and everything, but I just have to say that I remember as a teenager, and just, it's like when you're young, you just kind of agree to whatever stipulations the girl wants to define it as. Because I remember just like, sure, if that's what you believe or think, sure, I'll go with it. I don't care. I just want a girlfriend.
Just smile and nod.
What?
Just smile and nod.
Yes. Essentially, that's almost what he does. And Cory just kind of agrees to calling themselves a couple and is also kind of excited about it.
He is. He walks back over to Sean and...
Hey, look at me. I'm a couple.
We've almost moved past that I'm couple boy, but he's still posing, so...
But at least he doesn't say the boy part.
I'm couple boy. That'd be a bridge too far.
Yes. Yes. But we then go to the Matthews household, and we got into Eric's storyline of the week.
Eric, you can't rely on your looks to get you through life.
But all I want to be is a weatherman.
Eric's grades are down, and he's got to get them back up before he can go out any more dates.
Don't take away my girl!
And it is a fair situation that Amy and Alan are putting him through. You aren't getting the grades that you need to in school. You obviously need to, your focus is clearly somewhere else. So we're going to redirect your focus so that you can put it where it needs to get your grades back up.
Mm-hmm.
And so Eric is an interesting character at this point in the series because he's not dumb Eric yet. He's still kind of, I wouldn't label him valedictorian Eric yet.
I think you mean free-spirited Eric.
Well, yeah, we'll call him free spirit Eric. He's not dances with squirrels yet.
Yes, thank you.
Plays with squirrels.
I like that time period being called Dances with Squirrels. That makes sense.
But he's still in that frame where he's a fairly typical student. And so, but he's also very clearly enamored with girls, and his attention is very clearly on the girls. Now, with our kids, we have a middle schooler who's about to go into high school. We have a high schooler who is a sophomore about to become a junior. And we also
That's not real.
Oh, it's
I call
very
fake
real.
news.
It's very real, I assure you. And we have a third grader who's about to go into fourth grade. And especially with the older two, we have been very clear with them that we are not worried about their grades as much as we are worried about them showing that they understand the material and that they're giving their best effort, that they're doing the work that they need to. And if that means that they go into a test and they only get a 60%, but they studied for it, that they put in the work to try and understand the concepts, then we're fine with that. If that means that they go in and they bomb because they didn't study, we're not happy with that. And so, I choose to see this as Alan and Amy pairing the same way. I don't necessarily believe that Alan and Amy are expecting Eric to be a straight A student, but clearly his grades are a little too far towards the back end of the alphabet for as intelligent as he is, because throughout the series, he is depicted as being smarter than he lets on.
Right.
And he is depicted as being, especially when we get into season 3 and 4, that he misses out on opportunities because he slacked off. So, with all that diatribe said there, I'm with Alan and Amy. He's a little too close to the end of the alphabet, and until he gets closer to the front, no more dates.
Well, and it's also has to be taken into play of, from what this show shows us, Eric is not involved in a bunch of clubs and activities. He's not involved in any sports besides getting together with some buddies. So what does he do all day?
Yeah.
Well, his only real interest that we know about is girls. So if that's literally his only focus, then it makes sense for that being the only thing that could be taken away from him to make him understand.
Yeah. Because, he might play basketball with Jason, but other than that, it's girls. Girls, car, that's it.
Which, yeah, that's... All right, fine. I'm going to take a quick moment to do a small soapbox of... It's like in high school, they didn't think that either Sean or Cory or even really Topanga or Eric had any other interest besides just hanging out. Like, even the most chilled people in school were still doing stuff. Like, people could still be involved with different activities and sports. Like, the amount of people that would just do one sport or do two sports and then hang out for other seasons, or not do any sports, but they'd go work. Like, there's so much time on your hands to be doing other things. And we get episodes where, like, one time they're doing an internship or one time they're doing this job, but like
played basketball for one episode.
Right. And, I mean, again, as we all know, and everyone say it with us, episode has got episode. But it's just that slight annoyance of, okay, well, Eric has to do other things besides just hang out with Jason and a few other friends and pursue girls. Like, he has to. He can't spend his whole time, every single day, just constantly pursuing after these girls.
Yep.
I mean, I can see a high school boy getting really distracted because he has a girlfriend and all he does is spend time with his girlfriend. But to just only be constantly distracted by a bunch of other girls seems a little antiquated. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. Regressive, shallow.
And I have to mention this now, but it's so sly when Amy says, "Oh, Alan, how could you do this to my baby?" Well, it's your idea. Just that look that Eric gives to
face.
Amy.
And she's just smirking. It's perfect.
But that does pull into play of almost a stereotypical, mom's trying to defend her poor, helpless child, and dad's being real mean. And it's like, no, we agreed about this ahead of time. Although you're making me the bad guy, so now I'm going to call you out on it.
That's right.
Yes. But we get back to Cory because he's back in school. And Wendy, we're seeing some red flags.
Yeah, just a few.
Just not necessarily anything bad, but just a little like direct, a little too firm, a little too intense for middle school.
Intense would be a good way to put it. I mean, she's very future focused, wanting to know. I mean, we're in. I mean, this episode aired at the end of January, so we're assuming that we're in January in Boy Meets World, and she's already asking him what they're doing for the summer. We're
Yes.
talking 5 months away, and they've only been dating for maybe
3 days.
3 days at this point.
Yeah. Well, okay. If you give or take that they get the invite a day or two before the party, because this is the way the world works in this show, is that you get an invitation and 3 days later you're at the party.
With
So
dream filters and
yeah,
wind
so
tunnels.
at most we're looking at 4, maybe 5 days of dating,
Yes. At most.
which is not a bad amount of time for a middle school relationship to
Mhm.
break up, or give another week, and will naturally they'll stop dating each other. But this is high school.
High school, my boy.
I
my son.
do love how the interaction ends, and the thing that creeps out Cory the most is she goes, "Are you missing something?" And he looks down at his pants to make sure his fly isn't open.
That's
And
great.
she just responds with "kiss, kiss," and he just very confusingly walks over to her, gives her a kiss on the cheek, and then tries to get away from her very quickly.
You don't need any better picture of just how far apart they are in this relationship than that moment. She's expecting this kiss, and he's thinking almost as like the nagging mom, like, oh, my fly's open.
Yeah, a real awkwardness to that. But then we have this nice little interaction with Turner and Feeney, and talking about what is it, racquetball, I believe?
Racquetball versus squash, yes.
Yes. Because Feeney used to play squash back in the day, and Turner's like, oh, I think those two things are very similar. So they're like, yeah, let's get together and play sometime.
Yeah. And I have a hard time really choosing who to feel sorry for and who to really lay the blame on as starting this little, not really a fight, but this little aggressive moment here. Because Feeney's talking about squash, and Turner's like, oh, well, that's great, George, but what's it have to do with racquetball? And, they start talking back and forth, and it almost seems like George, clearly Feeney is setting Turner up. Feeney intends, and once Turner starts jumping in on the age jokes, Feeney decides he's going to lay his trap and take him for all he's worth. But yeah, it's fun. It's another more continuance of their special friendship.
Well, I was going to say, okay, let's be real for a moment. Feeney was always going to see if he would take the bait.
Oh, yes.
But it doesn't mean that him saying those words probably didn't annoy him and potentially frustrate him,
Oh, I'm sure, especially with the jab about, do you think there's room on the court for my my respirator? And for Jonathan to laugh along with it, that just sealed it.
This is just the playfulness of their relationship that I really enjoy, and kind of does go in that back and forth of, oh, well, clearly, yeah, we could like Turner's thinking like, oh yeah, we'll just go out and we'll hit the ball back and forth. Like, it'll be a nice little thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
He thinks he's going to teach George how to adapt to it.
But okay, if you and I were going to go out to somewhere and compete, would I not make jokes about you being old and not being able to keep up with me and everything? And you would try to tell me, oh, you're just inexperienced, all those things. Like, I think it's just part of having a relationship with another guy, of being competitive. And as we know, Feeney likes a good scam and has no problem showing his dominance.
He does.
What a chump.
What a chump.
Yep. And if I were in George's shoes, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah. But then we get to one of the most interesting scenes in the whole episode, Brett, as Eric's at his locker.
Yes, he is. And he's visited by a lovely young lass who needs some help with her hot tub.
Yeah. It's almost like the girls' network knows when someone's unavailable to date, and that's when the real temptation comes.
It does. And her parents are out of town, and she just can't get the temperature up. I give it.
Yeah.
I credit to Eric. He's not gonna try and sneak out against Alan and Amy's wishes. He tells her, if you ever have any feelings for me, go home, get ugly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and she walks away saying that she'll go find another boy, and he immediately starts bashing his head against the locker. And Jason shows up with probably one of the best lines he's ever given.
He does.
Lockerhead man, I heard your signal and came as quickly as I could.
Oh, yeah.
And this is, I also say, like, this is, again, getting more of that small doses of Jason is the best version of Jason.
They are.
Because in the first episode we had him, he was in, like, the whole episode almost. And it was, like, it's too much. But, like, essentially Jason coming in, messing with Eric a little bit, giving him small little things for him to do. This is perfection.
It really is.
So, and also just allowing the two of them to play on their natural chemistry. But we get to a very, very uncomfortable part of the episode, Brett.
Yeah. Now is the uncomfortable part you're thinking this?
I mean, the more I try to study, the more I think about girls. Look at this. History, perfect example. Look at this. Queen Victoria, Catherine the Great, Madame Curie. Are they yummy or what?
Yummy.
Oh, and who is this raven-haired beauty?
That's Leonardo da Vinci. Stop that, you're scaring me.
Or are you thinking more along the lines of Jason's solution?
It's the second one. I mean, the first part is just weirdness, yes. But
Yeah.
the second part of meeting Dominique, either the woman that runs the salon or the woman that just does shampoo, either way, it creeps me out as a grown man.
Yes, it does. And before we go any further for Dominique, let's give some credit to Dominique's actress, played by Musetta Vander. Throwing a little accent in there because I'm not sure on pronunciation there. But Musetta, if you ever hear this, love to have you on the show. Where you can talk about your creepy interactions with a high school student. Your character's creepy interactions, not yours. It's first and only time we'll see her on Boy Meets World. 84 acting credits on her resume. She showed up in shows like Murder, She Wrote, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Star Trek Voyager, Xena, Warrior Princess, movies like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Frasier, NCIS, and a lot more. So well-traveled, lot of range to her talents. But yes, here in this episode, very, very not good.
No, not good. And I will say that her character is hilarious. As a kid, whenever I watched this, I thought this was so funny because it was so ridiculous, and just like the interactions with them. Like it's not weird because of the actors and what they're doing. Everyone's doing the best they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
It is literally just a high school boy who is consistently now trying to go and get his hair cut, quote unquote, and a hair wash from a grown woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she is uncomfortably, the character again is too into it.
Yes, it's
Now, again, I think it's hilarious, but
yes, as a viewer, it is yes, very amusing. As a parent, it would be downright. Let's get some police in here because I do not find this one bit amusing that my child is in this situation. As a fictional character, I find it quite hilarious.
right. For just being a TV character, fine. My actual child, problem.
Yeah. But it does lead to some very fun things, like when Jason is setting up the solution of here's your solution to not being able to date.
So if I was starving, would you buy me pants?
And when Eric finally meets Dominique, and so
Yeah.
but yes, I'm right there with you. Dominique is not in the real world. Dominique would be very much a predator and would be someone to stay very far away from.
Right. Again, it's just a TV show.
Yes, episode is definitely episoding big time.
Yeah. We get a nice transition though back into the school, and now we're in the cafeteria, and there's a young lady coming up to Cory asking for help in English.
Oh, yeah.
Cory's not even good at English.
Yeah, he's had like one or two good episodes where English is a decent strong point for him. So,
Well, and it's just funny because he's like, man, these girls must be having a real hard time with English. And Sean's just like, are you dumb? Like, you're off the market, so now you're interesting.
they want you. They can't have you.
Right. And it's that strange Sean is wise because he's not wrong. Like, I don't want to speak too off color, but like, I remember in high school when girls would be more interested in me and more willing to talk to me because I had a girlfriend. And remember several times I was talking to a girl or had a friend, and they'd be like, I wish you weren't with the girl you're with right now. And it's like, well, I am. It's like, I know, but I wish you weren't. And did they ever talk to me like that whenever I didn't have a girlfriend, Brett? No.
Of course not.
And you know why? Because high school's the worst.
Yeah, that's right. And you weren't the forbidden fruit any longer.
That's true.
Girls
Well,
mature
Sean's trying to
faster,
encourage Brett to break up with... Brett. Sean is trying to encourage Cory to break up with Wendy because clearly they've been dating for way too long.
It's been a week already. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, that... Sean is not wrong in the sense that most middle school relationships, not high school, middle school, last only a week or two at most. Sometimes you get the random together for all of middle school. Not often, not all the time, but for the most part, they're quick, you know.
The vast majority definitely do not last very long. So Sean is not off his rocker at all.
Right. But, you know, I do think that Sean should take into account of the type of girl that Wendy is. And Sean assumes that all girls are the same. And that's part of his folly.
And Sean really has this opinion that Wendy's expecting it, that she's waiting for it, and wants it even more than Cory does.
Yes, I'll say that buying someone tube socks is not a good indicator of wanting to break up.
A lovely parting gift.
Yes, but we get to poems that are being read, and Turner starts reading them. And I really hope you had the welfare one.
I do,
because
I clipped Sean's welfare
spectacular.
poem. Oh yes, let's listen to Sean's poem.
Okay, the first one up is Sean Hunter. His poem is called Welfare. Okay. You want me to read this out loud or just forward it to the guidance counselor?
Read it. It's some of my best work.
Okay, everybody, buckle up. My Uncle Ralph, he does not care, because twice a month he gets welfare. My Uncle Chuck has nylon hair. He bought the rug with his welfare. Old Corvair, long nose hair, electric chair. That's a very colorful family you got there, Sean.
I didn't use their real names. That's okay, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the less I know, the better.
Sean's got away with words.
He does, and all of it rhymes.
It does.
So, he's taking life and using it in his art, and you know, he's not wrong. This is probably his best work so far.
It is, and I don't know the specific parameters of the assignment, but it sounds like it's real life experience. It fits the guidelines of a standard rhyming and fairly metered poem. I would say Sean earned a pretty high grade on this assignment.
Yeah. I think he did good. I think it's just one of those classic Boy Meets World isms that just helps sum up a character so well.
Yeah, Sean's got a rough background.
Yeah. Well, it's
But
just also
colorful.
peeling back a little bit more of who Sean is.
Very colorful.
Yes. And then we get to Wendy's, at the same time, Cory's trying to pass a note to her to break up with her.
Yes.
And Turner starts reading this poem. It's literally called Leave Me and I'll Die.
I've got that one too.
Our love is a flower that blooms in the sun. Our love runs deeper than deep rivers run. Our love is so strong that it makes me cry. Leave me and I'll die. I will die, die, die.
That's a pretty intense 7th grader.
Yeah, I feel like this one should also be forwarded to the guidance counselor even more intensely.
Yeah. That one would definitely be the first one fast-tracked to the guidance counselor ahead of Sean's. I mean, that's a pretty telling poem there.
It is, and we'll get to it later, but you should never, ever be with anybody, especially if they're threatening to hurt themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have enough respect for yourself to make sure that you're doing what you feel you need to do in a relationship. And that includes leaving a relationship when you know you need to.
Yeah, I mean, and it's heavy, but I mean, right along with that, you know, we talk about middle school relationships, and you know, Boy Meets World is about relationships throughout the entire 7-year run. But here in 7th grade, Cory has entered into a relationship where on his end it was, let's go to this party together, and okay, you know, fine, we'll just continue being a couple. But here he's discovering that Wendy has so much more in mind, and this is not a healthy mindset.
No.
And to find oneself in a relationship where mental health, emotional health, and stability is completely dependent upon someone else, that's never a good thing. And so, yeah, I mean, you're going to hear it sprinkled in our episode here too. But I mean, if you find yourself in that type of a situation, good-looking people, that's not a good thing. That's a very big red flag, and something that you should seek to avoid. It's not something that should be endearing. It's something that you should watch out for, and something that Cory really should. Granted, at 7th grade, he's not all that well versed in the ways of the world and the ways of the heart, but something that he should handle with a lot more grace and tact than he is able to.
Well, and Cory, he seems to see red flags, but he doesn't know what to do about that.
He doesn't. Yeah, and I don't fault him for not dealing with them better than he does, because like I said, he doesn't have the experience. This is his first real long-term relationship, like you brought up. I mean, we haven't seen anything go on with him for longer than this. And so clearly this is the most invested girl he's ever been with. And so he doesn't have the experience to figure out how to do anything. Now, granted, he could talk to Alan. He could talk to Eric. Might not get the best advice there, but there are people he could talk to, but he is a 7th grader and he doesn't always remember how to get the best advice.
Yeah. Well, and we probably need to keep moving, but Cory and Wendy end up having a conversation because Wendy's upset because Cory says, hey, in a note, I think we should break up. So Cory then tries to make up for it and say, no, we should not. We should not break up.
And how does she... Yeah, girls mature faster. Okay, sure, I'll buy that. How does she not buy... yeah, okay. She buys that Cory forgot to write not on the note. Okay.
Yeah, I was just... Yeah. It's that leap in logic that a girl can make.
All 7th graders lack concrete, forward, future thinking capabilities at times, at a lot of times. Right. I'm sorry if you're in middle school, good-looking people. It's a part of the brain's development. It will lead you to some very interesting situations in your life if you're in middle school right now.
Yes. But yeah, so Cory and Wendy are not broken up. They're still together. And we discover Wendy's cooking dinner.
Yes, they are.
I love that running bit. Yeah. Amy is super excited, super happy, probably because she's getting help in the kitchen for once.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally thinking about when Eric and Cory make dinner and how that's a big deal. We got him dinner. We got him dinner.
Once.
Yeah. But I think Amy's just excited someone's actually helping her.
Yeah, she
and
thinks
not making a giant mess.
She thinks it's cute that there's a girl interested in her son. It's kind of playing house, you know.
Yeah. It's adorable.
Yeah.
But we get to the dinner table and this should just be called the red flags table because so many red flags are going on.
Oh, they're there.
I'm on an emotional roller coaster.
Cory's just there, up and down and up and down. Oh, it's just, yeah. And shall we get to Wendy's plans for Cory?
Yes, please do.
Oh, yes.
I hope our 3 kids turn out as wonderfully as yours have.
You've decided on 3 children?
Well, I'm one of 3 children, and Cory's one of 3 children. So I thought we'd keep the tradition alive.
3 kids. What do you think of that, Gramps?
Could you come, Cory, with me? Nutcase?
You think?
Wendy, don't you think that 3 children on Cory's $5 a week allowance might be a little stressful during the holidays?
Mr. Matthews, we're not going to get married anytime soon. We both have a lot of growing up to do.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that.
Let her finish.
We're just going to grow up together.
You want to go outside again?
I think this is the point that as 2 dads, we can firmly say that this girl's imagination has gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I think as a parent / adult that you have to, even if it's just to your own child, go, hey, you need to realize that this is a problem. You are just in 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 of you should not be thinking past high school for a second.
Yeah, there is a place for dreaming and a place for planning, and planning a family in 7th grade is not the place for it.
Right. I mean, you know, I think in middle school, it's not that uncommon to think, well, maybe we will date for a little bit now, but then maybe we'll get back together in high school at some point. Maybe we'll be high school sweethearts then, and then who knows what happens. But you always left it with the, well, who knows what will happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened for many people is that you find someone else to be attracted to, and then that's the person you end up fancying. You don't go back, but some people do go back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's complicated, and everyone has to do what is best for them. So,
Indeed.
but I'll say that, like, just to take it in the real world for a second, day of recording, this is actually my dad's birthday. And I have to say that the last relationship before my wife, he gave me some really solid advice one day. And he just said, listen, I think the girl you're with is wonderful. But if you're going to be with her long term, you have to think about how long of a commitment you're making to this girl before you 2 could actually get married. And he goes, you have to realize how much time that is you're going to devote to her. And you have to ask yourself, are you willing to devote that time and then maybe end up getting married?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, interesting.
Yep.
So dads have good advice out there. So, you know, listen to your fathers. And if you don't have fathers, listen to our advice because we have that in spade.
That's right. We're your pod daddies.
But we'll get more to this interaction because we talk about that a lot with our special guests. But I love the mirage comes down very quickly for Alan, and Alan tries to make it clear to Amy of like, hey, this is a problem. We need to, you and I probably need to talk about this. She goes, everything's fine. She's just playing house. I would be the first to know.
And then she's, Wendy's gone upstairs with Morgan, and she comes back down with a picture of Amy in the wedding dress and says, oh, beautiful dress. Maybe I can wear it someday.
Beep, 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 beep.
Amy's finally seen the light. That's the red flag for her.
Yes. I will say we did forget to mention that Eric does walk in at one point going, can I get another appointment? Do you think she'll be booked tomorrow? Go ask. So clearly is invested in getting this whole haircut.
Hey guys, where you been?
Hey, I can get a haircut as many as I want. Eric is the... Let's go.
How bad is this?
Let me finish dinner, then I'll assess.
Sorry to cut
I will
you
say
off.
I think he's missing the point of what his parents were trying to get him to do as far as not going and wasting all his time on girls.
Totally.
I will say as a quick aside, you can always cut this out, but I did pay attention to Alan Matthews, and he always has something on his fork, and he never really messed too much with his actual plate. He does eat one thing at one time, but other than that, is always something on his fork.
TV eating.
So it's those little acting things that as I listen to more podcasts that go through TV shows, I go, oh, hey, that's a little, fun acting thing saw.
You like how he kept it on his fork when he went outside with Cory?
Yeah. Who does that?
Yeah.
But we get to the school, and Feeney and Turner are talking about their game they had with.
Oh yeah, I love this little interaction they have.
Our little match didn't take it all out of you, did it?
Oh, yeah, you're some piece of work, George. Oh, I don't know how I will adapt to this vastly different game. Am I standing the right way? Oh, look, another point for me.
I believe it was your idea to make a small wager on the outcome.
You were old. I thought you'd lose.
And I cleaned your clock. So?
Yeah, you took me. You hustled me.
Yes, I did. Oh, by the way, Jonathan, I don't shoot pool either.
I do love the maniacal laugh as he walks away. But again,
Yes.
Feeney likes a good scam.
He does. He does.
So, but again, it's just building on their relationship, and I do love Turner's Feeney impression right to his face. So,
I don't know how we'll adapt to this vastly different game. Oh, look, there's another point for me.
so I like how we go to Cory, and he's explaining to Sean about what happened after they left, and how apparently he went inside the house with her, and
There's
they
4
sang
generations.
songs.
There are 4 generations in the same house.
Uh-huh. And yeah. So they're still together. Things are great. Cory doesn't know what he's going to do because clearly he's going to be with her forever, and the men don't talk.
They don't say much at all.
And we have to get as quickly as we can, Brett, to by far one of the greatest moments in this entire show.
Oh yes.
And that is Old Man Cory
in
Old
the
Man
diary.
Sean.
Yes, in their it's beautiful. Cory and his daydream. Think about him and Wendy together for 90 years. The potato anniversary.
How long you been married?
90 years.
Oh, they want
Has
you
it
to take
been
the
that
rules.
long?
Oh, and Sean in his daydream, Sean is so effusive about Cory and Wendy's relationship. You've been together with a beautiful girl for 90 years. And Cory is in his brain. He's put at this situation where Sean, for 90 years, every night you've dated thousands of women, but I've been together with this one woman who gave me this this wonderful life. And, Sean gets up. Yeah, and Cory's putting stuff in his sweater the whole time, of course.
The whole time. There's so much.
They want you to take the roles.
And
okay, real quick. I just have to say, I just love how they're like, you haven't changed at all since you were in 7th grade. You're exactly who you are. And me, I'm just always been with this girl. That's who I am.
Yeah. But even in Cory's mind, they've been together a week, him and Wendy. But in this daydream he's having, Wendy sits down after Sean's gone off to chase another woman.
Miss Locklear.
Yes, Miss Locklear. And they have their little back and forth. And she says, "Was it really that bad?" He says, "These 90 years together, you've given me all of these things, is 1 or 2 or 3 beautiful children, your left kidney or whatever it is, and a beautiful home." But in Cory's mind, after a week together, he's already concocted in his daydream this entire life together where he's actually enjoyed in his head this life together with Wendy.
He has accepted this life that she is putting down of the only way these two are leaving each other is old age and death.
Yep. And he's still wearing the socks she got him.
Yeah, I'd recommend washing those socks, bud.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't mind in the sense of like him just being like, hey, being with her, it wouldn't be that bad. But on the same token, he's settling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he knows it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but also they're in 7th grade. So you shouldn't be thinking about, your life with someone 90 years in the future. And I will say, I love how this little restaurant that he has made up in his head is literally Chubby's, except with like a few things added.
And there's a sign in the background. I couldn't get a clear view, but basically it says, it's got the name of the restaurant, and underneath there's a subtitle that basically reads, "Where Old People Eat."
Yep, I saw that. Yeah. I mean, you could see so much of the set deck for Chubby's. They didn't take it down for this. It's literally just they threw some things up, and
it's Cory's
that's what's
imagination,
happening.
man. Cory's imagination.
Yeah. It just makes me giggle. So, he's kind of accepts it. And then, of course, we get to one of the best jokes in the whole episode.
Mr. Feeney appears in the daydream.
Yep. I just love how he's just like, "What's in your pocket?" What? I bought these.
I bought these.
Got the prices they're charged. They're lucky we don't take the silverware.
Oh, yes. And, of course, Mr. Feeney's really telling him to get to class. And, of course,
my wife is going to be so upset.
Yeah.
But we get the Chubbies, and Cory is explaining this very healthy hamburger that he and Wendy are about to have, which is
just a bun. Because, it's good for him. She's worried about his health.
Yeah. And Cory just starts to be like, "Hey, it's kind of funny that, I just want a date for the for the party. That's all I wanted." And this is where Wendy kind of stands up for herself, going, "I thought you were honest, and clearly you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want something that was started based on a lie."
Yeah, and I mean, full credit to her. She doesn't want to continue in a relationship that was built on a lie. And, between the two of them, she actually has the conviction to say, this is done. This is not built on a foundation that will last, so it's over.
Yep.
Yeah. And she leaves as quickly as she came into his life.
Yeah. But again, I really respect that of her, of just kind of, that's not what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have to be, the thing that Cory did not do is speak up for himself, to advocate for what he truly wanted. Now, you could argue that 7th grade boys, middle school boys in general, and even some adult boys don't know really what they want. But Wendy did know what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that Sean tries to come up and be like, hey, let's be bachelors together, two wild and crazy guys.
You, me, tonight, was it Janelli sisters or whoever they are? Walensky.
The Lewinsky twins.
Yeah.
But Cory is sad.
He misses Wendy. He's wearing the socks she got him.
It's that maturity, though, of showing of why he could be ready for Topanga when they're ready for each other, is because he actually feels guilt and sadness and, as crazy, not crazy, but as red flaggy as Wendy was, she wasn't not herself.
Yeah, and she was who she said she was. And, Cory actually was part of a relationship where he finally was starting to open himself up to what that entails. So he was finally starting to realize what it is to be in a relationship.
Yeah. And not just be a date here, date there, date every girl. It's almost like he wanted to commit to something. And we get to the tag where you see in full display of Dominique and Eric's very problematic relationship and how she convinces Eric to still get a shampooing without needing the haircut and all that jazz because she just desperately has to wash his hair.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And it's probably in this scene that's the most uncomfortable of.
It really is that, yeah. Yes. I could have done.
Again, actress does a great job.
She sells it, yeah.
Will Friedle, great job. But as a dad, this makes me feel the ick.
Yeah. Definitely ick there. The less said about that one, the better for me.
Yep, I agree.
Why don't we get into our special guests and hear what the moms had to say about our time with breaking up is really, really hard to do.
Yes. Let's. It's going to be a little messy because we still got a toddler who's awake. Not toddler yet, still baby.
He's still baby.
We got... So our one child is transitioning out of toddlerhood, and this one is, taking his good old time getting into it. I keep asking him to do things like the dishes, but he just won't do it.
He's stubborn. You got to work harder.
So
no one's cleaned my car yet for Mother's Day.
So we thought we would take this moment right now to get the mom's perspective on this episode that Brett and I have already gone through and talked about. Mom's perspective plus Henry crying every now and then. Because he's grumpy. So we thought it'd be a good time to talk about some of the stuff that went on in this episode. So, gals, what did you think about this episode? Your initial thoughts? And how did you feel Cory handled the whole breakup situation?
This is one of my favorite earlier season Boy Meets World episodes because it's very quotable.
Oh, what am I supposed to say now?
Whatever you feel like saying, Kelly. I feel like we have this conversation every time you're on. We're not looking for anything of you. It's just, how did the episode make you feel? What did you notice?
Oh my gosh, I noticed that 16-year-olds are very interested in women.
They're very dramatic.
Yes.
Don't take away my girl!
Yeah, on both ends.
That was my favorite storyline, honestly, was Eric going through his problems.
Okay, so getting that out of the way, Cory has his first technically weekish long girlfriend. How did you girls feel about him jumping into this relationship? How do you think he handled it? How do you think she handled it? What are some pros and cons? And how do you think Amy and Alan handled this?
That's a lot of questions.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. You just like had a lot of questions to throw at us.
Okay,
Well, let's start with how Cory handled it.
Not great.
Gave in to peer pressure when he wasn't ready.
Right. He was really quick to like jump in with Sean, what Sean said, because, you know, Sean's the ladies' man of the two of them. So he gave in to peer pressure.
Yeah.
And I mean, he barely knows Wendy. I mean, he knows her, but
What does he
knows
actually
her.
know about her?
What does he really know about her? And wasn't she the one from like a few episodes ago that he tried to take to Chubby, but he didn't even know her?
Yep. Because she was the new girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he bold-faced lied right to her face.
Right? Said
like,
he
yeah,
wanted to be a couple.
I want to be a couple.
Okay, but technically it's not necessarily a lie. He just didn't give as much direct detail.
Yeah, he wanted to be a couple, but not
For the night.
necessarily with her.
For that night, he wanted to be
He
a
just
couple.
wanted
that
a
night,
date.
yes.
That's not being a couple.
I agree with that. But also, do you think at 13, Cory really understands and recognizes what it means to be a couple?
No, but girls mature more, so he should have realized he was getting in over his head like the moment she started talking more.
So
Backed out with a mayday.
Kelly, as a mother of a 13-year-old boy, do you feel like your 13-year-old boy may fall into a similar trap as what Cory fell into?
Well, first of all, Toby is now 14. Just to
Also,
make you feel old.
Toby has had a number of girlfriends that I object to.
Yes. So my favorite story about Toby is he did have a longtime girlfriend, but they only saw each other at church. So it technically would have been a short relationship if you add up all the days they actually got to see each other. But I know he started dating a girl. They were together for a week, maybe 2. They broke up on Thursday, and by Monday he was dating the other girl in that friend group.
Right. So do you feel like Wendy handled this relationship well?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. Listen, I agree with Amy that she's just a young girl playing house. And they put a big emphasis on that, you know, because it's funnier if you make her seem more crazy. But no, she didn't handle it very well because you're 13 and you're not going to find the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with at 13. And even if you do, you're not going to be ready for it.
Yeah. I think they're just experimenting with relationship, though, because all they have to base that on are older siblings or their parents as their main source of what a relationship is. And I think they take from that and try to make it into what they think it should be. But I'll tell you what.
In Wendy's experience, a lot of the relationships that her family has is they meet when they're young.
Yes.
And then they just commit to each other.
Yes.
Which is not too far off from some very conservative Christian circles of you meet your wife, the moment you start dating them, you court them, all that jazz. And, you know, it's not that uncommon in some circles for people to get married at like 19, 20.
21.
Hey now.
To 23.
Yeah, you were 23, so it's not as bad.
How old were you?
21.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
But I could drink, so I feel like with that caveat.
That's the line. I mean, we do frequently say that, like, if you can't drink at your own wedding, you should not be having a wedding.
Truth.
That's not a bad rule.
Right.
Hey, my parents are both 22, so, you know, you split the difference, 21, 23, you know, it all works. And that's exactly how old you are now, right? You just stayed at 23?
No, I'm 29.
Well, that's right, sorry.
I'm 29 forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, do you girls admit that probably the best scene in the whole episode is when they're at dinner and just Alan is seeing red flag after red flag, and then Eric walks in, is acting super suspicious, and they're like, "Should we investigate that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll get that after this."
Let me finish dinner, then I'll assess.
That is amusing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my favorite scene is always.
Might as well get into it now.
They want you to steal the rolls.
Yes! They want you to take the
They
rolls.
want you to take the rolls.
They want you to take the rolls.
At the prices they charge, I'm surprised they don't take the silverware.
At the prices they charge, they're lucky we don't take the silverware.
You know, I said that so many times in my head as I was walking in today, and I can't believe I botched that. Stupid.
What the heck did you bring home?
What do you guys think about that scene, Kelly? Let's start with you. I'm
Oh
sure
my
Brett and I'll
gosh.
talk. We've already talked in depth about this scene, but what did you think about this scene, Kelly?
Well, first of all, it was absolutely hilarious. And then it oh my gosh, and the fact Amy's face was hilarious when she was just looking at her like, "Oh, you're so cute." And Alan's already realizing this is a problem. Like, it was really funny.
She's a loon.
But then when Brett played the quote, I caught, like, Alan says, "What did you bring home?" Not who did you bring home?
What did you bring home?
What the heck did you bring home?
Right.
I appreciate Amy's like red flag. The turning point for her is
The wedding dress.
the wedding dress. Like, maybe someday I'll get to wear it. And honestly, that probably would be my turnaround point too. Like,
beep, 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 beep.
yeah.
That was the greatest.
So Kelly, the whole Cory having a daydream where he and Wendy are married for
90 years.
together for 90 years. The potato anniversary is the 90th. What did you think about this scene there, Kelly?
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. I think that it's Ben Savage, right? There's
It's
two of them.
It's one of my favorite scenes.
It
in
is.
all of
He,
Wendy's World.
especially for a kid, like, he acted out that old man scene so well. It was just incredible. Absolutely
Cory,
incredible.
Is that you?
Yes. They did. All of them did a fantastic job with that. It was so great.
I absolutely love that scene.
Well, every time we go to a restaurant and there's rolls,
They want you to take the rolls.
The moment we see the rolls, that's what they want you to take the rolls. They
I
come
mean,
back.
we even have Grayson say it
Oh, yeah.
too. Like, if he hears us say it, he'll quote it too.
Oh, I love it. Oh, man.
Well, I guess I'll ask you girls. I didn't think about this before, but have you ever had a dream interrupted by like someone in your real life all of a sudden being there and you going, "You don't belong in this dream"?
Yeah, all the time. You.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you kind of walked into that one.
I'm trying to remember.
I mean, does it count whenever I'm having a dream and then our kid like wakes me up?
Sure.
Right inches away from my face. Mommy. Yeah, all the time.
Have you, Tyler?
What?
Have you had a dream like that?
I feel like I've had dreams before where I probably start talking in the midst of my dream, and if Sarah's awake and she's responded to it, I think I've taken her responses into the dream.
Understood.
Which is always weird, but I don't know. There's never been a time where someone's trying to wake me up and all of a sudden that person is there. No.
Yeah, that
It's
hasn't
probably just
happened to
a
me, I
TV
don't
thing,
think.
Really.
Right.
But Feeney does look adorable in that waiter's uniform. I bought these.
My wife's gonna kill me.
So, this whole episode we're leading into Cory wants to break up with Wendy. He can't do it. Cory wants to break up with Wendy. Can't do it. But Wendy, I would say kind of stands up for herself. And once she knows that Cory lied to her, she's not going to just put up with it.
Oh, she absolutely does stand up for herself. Like, I mean, okay, I'm going to be honest. I think the whole thing with her, you lied to me, and that is a bit dramatic. But again, they're 13, so right. Because, I mean, I know of at least one relationship where somebody, this is not us, it's a friend of ours, for real, was texting another girl, and he thought he asked out the other girl, but he really asked out his now wife. So, like, it's not that those lies can't pan out.
No.
But, so, I mean, her response was definitely dramatic, but, like, if it's something that was a deal breaker for her, or, you know, it made her feel like he didn't care, then yeah, she definitely did a good job being like, no, I'm out.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that, because Cory got to the point where he just settled because he thought that's what he would have to be for the rest of his life.
Right.
Like, he gave no thought to, he only thought about how it would make her feel if they broke up. He didn't think about the consequences that it could present for himself. And she was definitely, for her. Yeah. She was definitely more mature in that instant. And it was funny how she switched really quickly from all about him to, whoa, no, absolutely not.
I mean, she did write a poem that said, "Leave me and I'll die.
I'll die.
I mean, that's definitely a fair thing to be scared of. However, that should never be a reason to stay with someone.
Oh, I agree completely.
That's
yes,
right.
Yes.
Yes.
You never stay with somebody because they threatened to hurt themselves. Yes.
That's
you know.
And if anyone needs to
So,
call about that, 988
we promised-
people. I was saying, if anybody needs to call about that, if anyone is feeling like hurting themselves, 988.
So just real quick, girls, just your hot take on if your teenage son was going to a salon to get his hair washed by a grown woman, would you be okay with that?
No.
Okay, I figured. I just wanted to get that on record of moms aren't okay with that.
Our hairdresser is
Yeah.
your sister-in-law.
But that's different. If he went to someone that wasn't, but still,
No, I would not be okay with it. It would make me very uncomfortable.
that's what I thought too. That's why we can move on. I just want to get the exact PSA from the moms of you should not be getting your hair washed by a strange lady.
Yeah,
Especially
no.
someone who's going to be very rough with him.
Especially daily.
Yes.
I know, right?
I guess maybe.
I can get as many haircuts as I want.
And she was a little predatorial herself, so
Yes.
she was
A
creepy.
little? Very much so.
She's creepy, very creepy.
So I guess, girls, we're going a little quick, but we promised you that you would not have to be here the whole time. So what do you think from this episode, watching it, you've learned from this?
Every time. I don't get my questions ahead of time, Tyler.
I ask you this every single time.
I know, but we don't think about it between now and then. Like then and now.
What did you learn? What is your grade? And
I
then
have
we
my
do a
grades.
dad joke.
Sorry. Give us a second.
We can't do ours yet because that's going to happen after this.
That's okay. Just give us a second. Okay, so what lesson did we learn from this?
So, Brett, maybe we just need to just write out, this is the outline of the show.
But why do you always have to ask us this question? What if I didn't learn anything?
If you didn't
Then say you didn't learn anything.
That's fine. Is there anything that reinforced something in you? That you went, I thought about this and it reminded me of this and I will remember this and this is a good review.
They want you to take the roles.
To be fair, I believe there's one episode Tyler and I both said we didn't learn anything from. So I think that's a very valid answer.
Yeah, I mean, this one is just, if I learned anything, it's just quotable. It's very quotable all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch out for the red flags.
There's joy in the demise of a teenage relationship.
Yes, absolutely. Because they don't need to be
Also,
dating
like,
at
maybe watch out
13.
for the red flags when your kid is getting his hair washed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, teach your children to not stay with somebody if they threaten to hurt themselves. There you go.
Yeah.
I knew all these things, but, you know.
But it's a good thing to reinforce that because there could be someone listening that goes, oh, I haven't thought about that before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's absolutely it. And nothing that I learned, but something that was reinforced is that this show, placed in the time it was written, has women in very forward roles where they're very aggressive. And
aggressive.
Oh my gosh. Like some of Eric's past girlfriends and then are washing hair
Girls
lady
who want them to
and-
help him with their hot tub because their parents are gone.
Yeah.
Go home and get ugly.
If you have any feelings for me, you're going to go home and get ugly.
Like you said, Sarah, quotable all the way.
This episode is one of my favorites to quote.
Yeah, and I did happen to notice, ladies, that Amy does play a nice trick on both Eric and her husband at the same time of having Alan be the bad guy and saying, if you don't get better grades, you're not going on trips and no girlfriends. And immediately he goes,
Mommy.
Well, she goes, how could you do this to,
To
my
my
baby?
It was your idea.
Props to Amy on that, by the way.
Yeah. No.
That was cool.
That's an A+ mom move right there.
Yeah, it is. Saving face with the kid. Mm-hmm.
So, I guess we can do grades now because you said you already know yours. So what would you grade this?
Oh, this episode is A+.
Mine's an A as well.
Very nice.
I mean, it's clearly a very different take on the episode because the last time I was on, I had nothing but negative things to say.
Last couple you've had nothing but negative things
It
to
has
say.
definitely given Tyler and I lots of fodder. Patriarchy. Misogyny.
Well, the
patriarchy.
Okay, since neither the two of you listened, we have had a running joke where Brett will go, and your wife would say about this.
I love it. That's awesome.
We get the Sarah voice even when Sarah's not on.
Yes. I also would like to take this time to publicly announce that I'm sorry, Kelly, for disrupting your dogs a few nights ago.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
I was listening to the episode and I could definitely hear after I did that little high pitch, I immediately heard your dogs in a panic.
He made a sound only dogs could hear.
They thought Brett was getting eaten by something. I don't know.
It's fair. It was just funny because they were like, we'll be right back. And I'm like, okay. And they're gone for a while. I'm like, oh, they must be really worked up.
Problems with the dogs.
But our dog was unaffected.
Yeah, he's just sitting there, just chilled out.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I just wondered if, due to the frequency of it coming through one of your headphones or whatever, if it just triggered them where
Very possible.
it was just me singing, so he didn't hear it. So
Our dogs also have anxiety issues and need some weed or something.
I mean, our dog does too.
CBD oil, my
He has
best friend.
He has real bad separation anxiety.
Our dogs need some edibles.
the cat likes to go up to his perch, so that doesn't help him.
No, the cat won't socialize with him.
Oh, that's no fun.
Yeah. Well, okay, they do socialize, but then one of them will annoy the other one in that socializing, so they just attack each other. So it's truly like having two brothers in the house. There's
It's
no way
like
else
having a house full of boys and only one female.
Sarah, what happened?
I mean,
only one of
I
these
would like
we had
to
a
blame.
choice.
I
We
would
had a
blame.
choice for one, and she chose the boy dog.
He was cute.
You can't complain.
I was about to say I had no control over the children.
Right,
Wow.
right. That's true. That's all Tyler's fault.
Yeah, that's all Tyler's fault.
You can't blame biology. I'll blame biology because I wanted girls and I got all boys.
Listen, there are guys who would love to have boys.
I understand
all
that.
boys.
Just want one. Just want one girl.
I'm leaving
My
all of this in.
grandpa wanted boys, and he got all girls.
Well, there's this thing called adoption too, so just saying.
I am very blessed to have the
girl.
boys that I have and very happy.
I know you are.
I'm just tired of somebody complaining about her being overrun with boys when half of it was
It's
her
hard
choice.
when there's testosterone everywhere.
Okay. Well, Kelly, do you have any last thoughts about this episode or maybe our podcast as you've been so regularly listening to it, of thoughts or anything?
Your podcast rocks, and I think that you guys need to find a way to reach out to the Boy Meets World cast and
That's what I
be
said.
like, hey, we're just starting out, but we absolutely love you guys, and
I told Tyler
Yeah.
to tweet the Pod Meets World on the Dads Meet World account, like with
yes,
because people would at least see it.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll get our PR team on that.
Yeah, you should, because I think
I'll set
it'd
up
be
a
really
meeting.
fun.
I was about to say that's you.
I mean, you guys have the sharks going on. It'd be kind of cool to.
Our shark shirts are coming.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That is so awesome. I mean, what a great opportunity.
So this will officially drop after May is done.
Yes, this
Yeah,
is the
second.
first Friday in June.
Yep. So if you're listening to this and you haven't ordered your shark shirt yet, you've missed out on a great opportunity.
Oh, man.
Maybe Brett will be kind and let it hang out for like 1 or 2 extra days, but after that it's going to be gone.
That's
We'll
right.
see.
But it's never too late to donate to Emma's Footprints.
Yeah,
Yes. Donate them as footprints.
they're amazing people.
Yep. Well, we should be wrapped up with our sharks. At the moment of this recording, we literally have 6 sharks out at 6 different houses.
Nice.
We have only been doing 2, and then tonight it was
a little
just
chaotic.
Let's put a bunch of them out.
Oh, my gosh.
So Grayson was whining, "Are we done yet?"
I bet.
So let's hear your deep dives.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
All right, so let's talk welfare real quick. So the term welfare refers to a range of government programs that provide financial and other aid to individuals or groups who cannot support themselves. Welfare programs are typically funded by taxpayers and allow people to cope with financial stresses during rough periods of their lives. You know, different programs are short-term programs. They're designed specifically for specific types of people with specific types of economic struggles, which is why, you know, someone could be on welfare for quite some time, but not everyone is able to be on it that long. So it's just a matter of what the needs are for your family and how long you need to be on it. I thought it was interesting the name Manel for this, or Manels is what they're referring to, this random little old people senior citizen early bird special restaurant that they're having. I'm assuming in Philadelphia this would be considered a breakfast joint, with it having the early bird special. What it is actually comes from a writer and producer of Boy Meets World and Girl Meets World. From Jeff Manel, is credited with being a part of almost every single story of Boy Meets World on some level. So I'm assuming he was a pretty high up writer on the show. All right, so something that bugged me in this episode is there's a random bench that just kind of comes out of nowhere. So I looked up a little bit of thing about bench. So basically, a bench is a long seat that may be fastened, fixed to a wall, or placed against the wall. Paneled benches were used by the Romans, and they're the most common form of seating in the medieval hall at the time, when the chairs were a rare luxury reserved for those with high statuses. And benches were not only used as seats, but normally wide enough to use for sleeping or eating forms. Benches retained their popularity as it fitted seats in window alcoves But in the 16th century, they lost favor as a freestanding pieces of furniture where chairs became more widely used and upholstery started to really climb also as well. These are 10 reasons why breaking up is so hard to do. Number 1, fear of being alone, attachment, guilt, dependency, uncertainty about the future, lack of self-esteem, hope for the future, the pull of unhealthy love, financial dependence, and social pressure. Honestly, Cory felt a lot of these things, and somehow even including the financial dependence. Last thing I want to talk about, though, is racquetball. Racquetball is a racket sport, and it's a team sport played with a hollow rubber ball, indoor or outdoor court. It was invented by Joseph Subak in the 1950s, adding a stringed racket paddled ball in order to increase the velocity and control. Unlike most racket sports, such as tennis or badminton, there is no net to hit the ball over, and unlike squash, no tin or out of bound area. Essentially, basically, from my understanding in general, is racquetball mostly indoors as you go into this basically your own little room, and the goal is hit the ball against the wall. The guy you're playing against has to hit the ball back to you, and if it goes past you, it's a point for that person. Squash is not that far off of what racquetball is, as it mentions it in here. And so for Feeney to potentially be good at racquetball after being good at squash, it's not that uncommon. I just love the fact that Feeney got one over on our friend, Mr. Turner.
So, Tyler, why don't we talk about what we learned?
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Well, what did we learn from breaking up is really, really hard to do. Well, for me, I take a lot of learning from the parental aspect because you've got Cory and Eric both with their own adventures this week of completely different aspects. And as a dad, you're going to have kids that are having their own experiences, their own adventures week to week. And Alan makes a great assessment at dinner when Eric walks in having his meltdown. And he tells Amy when she asks, how bad is it? Let me finish dinner and then I'll assess. I know my kids well enough at this point that sometimes I know when I need to jump in right away. And sometimes I can hang back a little bit and observe. And sometimes I need to be ready to dive in. And when Alan saw the red flags with Cory, he was right there with him, pulling him out out the door to talk. And then call that family meeting right there. So my lesson is just to reinforce that, to remember when to always be observant for the red flags, but to also remember when to sit back a little bit and when to dive in. So, Tyler, what did you learn this week?
Well, this week, I think it just kind of reinforced for me mostly of you need to be upfront about stuff. Be upfront about, expectations of your child, of what you expect of them for schooling, and expectations for younger people of the type of relationship you're going to have when you're dating, whether it be in middle school or high school or college or, even, in a husband-wife relationship, a marriage, and, being clear of what expectations really are. If you're expecting for someone to do the dishes every single day, well, unless you communicate that person won't know. It's always funny because we'll get into little spats every now and then about the way that the other one does cleaning or does certain chores, and both of us at points have to just go, well, it's getting done and I'm not the one doing it, so I'm not going to put my 2 cents in here. But yeah, it's just communicating. And I think Amy and Alan do a good job of communicating. And I just think it takes Amy a little bit longer to be willing to accept the fact that Wendy is not a good influence for Cory.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be hard sometimes to distinguish of, is this actually a good voice for my child or not? So, so yeah, make sure we're communicating and we're being upfront about stuff.
All right.
Expectations.
Good deal. So, Tyler, what would you grade Breaking Up as really, really hard to do?
Okay, so here's the problem I now have. The whole Dominique situation really bothers me. Not in a storyline aspect. It's just as a dad, I'm like, can I endorse it? Can I give this episode an A+, knowing how much this thing bothered me?
It's the ick factor.
It is. And again, it has nothing to do with the actors. It has nothing to do with even the storyline. It's just how it's sitting with me as a dad right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I love this episode, and honestly, it's probably could easily be in my top 10. I don't know. But I guess I'm going to have to move this sucker to like an A-. I can't give it an A+. I want to. I really do. I think my whole life I would have given it an A+, but now being a dad, that little bit just bothers me. It's still an A, still going to be a good grade, but I can't give it an A+.
Yep. And honestly, that is the biggest reason why I stuck an A- on for myself as well, is the Dominique factor. Everyone else did what they needed to do. Everyone else learned what they needed to learn. Everyone else was on point for their characterization. It's an enjoyable episode. It's just Dominique. It's just a little too much ick.
Yeah, and I don't think the actress did anything wrong. It just came down to how that episode made me feel.
Exactly.
And that part did not make me feel good.
Yes.
As a dad.
A little too much to endorse for a perfect grade.
Right. Again, great episode. It's incredible. It's probably one I'll use, but good golly.
Yes.
They want you to take the roles.
Come on, give us the perfect cue.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't
that
do
has
that.
been an episode of Dads Meet World.
You owe me a dad joke.
Oh, my God. Fine. I'll go classic real quick, all right?
All right.
What did the fish say when it hit the wall?
Ouch.
Damn. And that, dear good-looking people, has been an episode of Dads Meet World. I want to thank our special guests, our lovely wives, once again, for coming on to the show.
That's right.
We cannot do this podcast without you. You make our lives so much better. And also, we appreciate you coming in, even though we tell you every single time exactly what we're going to do, and then you don't pay attention. But that's okay. We love you anyway.
Nothing like thanking them and then berating them.
No, I'm not berating. They're not going to hear this part. I love them. These are two of the most important women in my life, Brett, but good Lord, they're never going to hear this part.
Never make it to this part. And good-looking people at home, you can definitely reach us at our social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at dadsmeetworld. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@dadsmeetworld. And drop us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. I've been Brett. This has been Tyler. And until next time, I'll see you, good-looking.
You good looking.
You can find Dads Meet World on Facebook, Twitter, and probably a few other places just by searching for Dads Meet World. Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story. So are you ready for some deep dives?
No, not yet. Can you do me a favor and turn Kelly up just a little bit more?
Yeah, because I'm awesome. So
How's
turn
that?
me up.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just realizing I don't have my laptop ready.
You're a funny guy. What a chump.
There we go.
Oh, baby!
Alrighty, are you ready now? I'm ready.
I was born ready.
Well, we start off in Chubby's, Brett.
Oh, well, hold on. Don't you want like the synopsis and everything?
Well, yeah, you could have given that to me earlier. I thought you already gave it to me, Brett.
Well, I was waiting for you to set all that up so we could go right into it.
All right. Why don't you hit us with that synopsis? So we start off at Chubby's. Brett, I quitteth.
Now!
Oh, there we go. Sorry. Stan was acting funky.
But what did we do? Learn to fly to do. Don't know the words, but I know the song.
That's not helpful.
Why don't we get into our special guests and hear what the moms had to say about our time with breaking up is really, really hard to do.
Yes. Let's.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.